Hi, I'm Malcolm.
And I'm Rachel. We're two Canadians living on our 39-foot mainship trawler, living an adventure of a lifetime. We invite you to follow along as we travel 6,000 miles through Canadian and U.S. waterways around America's Great Loop. From Carolina Beach Harbor. It's just before 6 o'clock and we actually woke up before our alarm. We had set our alarm for just after 6 to depart for 6:30, and we have decided today to combine 2 days into one. Due to some weather coming, we decided that instead of going to an anchorage first and then to Beaufort, North Carolina, we're going to go all the way to Beaufort, North Carolina. And I think it's around 80 nautical miles. It'll take us about 11 hours. It'll be a long day, but then we'll stay there for a couple nights probably. And depending on the weather, it looks like there were thunderstorms possible. And we don't mind traveling in a bit of rain, but the thunderstorms can be a bit challenging. And so we're just getting everything set up. Malcolm's in the upper helm right now, setting up the station up there. I've made us some nice warm tea, and we're preparing to pull up the anchor. It's not particularly cool this morning, but it is nice to have the cooler nights, and we've just got a couple of layers on just to feel nice and cozy. So just preparing to leave now, and hope you're having a great day. As we go along the Intra-coastal waterway, we have on one side, this is like the land between the Atlantic Ocean and the Intra-coastal waterway, so there's a lot of salt marsh, and just on the other side, you may or may not be able to see that, there's a whole bunch of houses and buildings, I guess apartments, that kind of thing. Nothing really tall, but you can see that there are homes out there. And then on the other side, there, I'll just show you that. See the Intra-coastal waterway right there behind me, and on the other side there are homes, and they usually have really long docks that come out because they have sort of marshed area and it's too shallow, so their docks are really long. These ones actually aren't as long as some of the ones we've seen, but you can just see the type of buildings that are in this part of the Intra-coastal waterway. And I was just driving when we went under a bridge. It's kind of back there now, but it was called Figure 8 Bridge. And the island over there by the ocean is called Figure 8 Island. It was kind of funny because the bridge operator came running down. I didn't hail him on the radio because I didn't need to. We didn't need the bridge opened. It had a clearance of, I think, 23 feet, and that we were fit well under 23 feet. But he came running down and told me slow down, even though I already was going really slow, but I slowed right down to 3 knots. And he stood under there and he says, "Okay, you're clear," which I knew we were, and then we carried on through. But it's just funny that he came and was worried that we would hit. I guess he was worried maybe about the antenna that are sticking up. But anyway, that was no problem to clear that Figure 8 bridge. we approached this area, we noticed smoke from a huge fire. This wildfire consumed 7,000 acres of the total 160,000 acres of the Croton National Forest. With pine forests, saltwater estuaries, bogs, and raised swamps, it is defined by water, bordered on three sides by tidal rivers and the Bogue Sound. Officials had closed off some of the roads within the forest, and thankfully the wind was directing the smoke away from the ICW. This part of the Intra-coastal waterway is called Bogue Sound, and it's a much wider body of water here, so we're noticing we're getting a little more wind. It's not that bad today, but I imagine on a very windy day that you get a lot more waves. So you can see behind me there is the shoreline. It's a little farther away than some of the other parts of the Intra-coastal waterway that we saw today. And if I turn the opposite direction, which is towards the Atlantic Ocean side, so that piece of land right there on the other side is the Atlantic Ocean, that's a lot farther away. And Malcolm just told me that just up ahead here, it's a lot more shallow. And when you get a shallow area, you can get a lot more waves because there's nowhere for the water to go in deep water, so you get a lot more waves in a shallower body of water. And I can see, actually, I can see some areas here where it is a lot more shallow, so that's interesting. And so coming up, we have about an hour or so left before we get to Beaufort, North Carolina. And we had a good day today, so we're glad we've made good time. There was a couple of bridges that we had to have opened. One of them, I think it was called Onslow Beach Bridge. That was only opened on the hour and the half hour, and we got there at 12:28. So they opened it just 2 minutes after we got there, which was perfect. Didn't have to stop for very long at all. And so good passage today. And let's go see what Beaufort, North Carolina has to offer. at our destination at Beaufort, North Carolina. And we're at the Beaufort docks. We went 81.9 nautical miles in about 10.5 hours or so. So it was a long day, but it was a really good day for traveling, so we took advantage of it. So we're here in Beaufort. We're going to check in at the marina office and then have a little walk around the town. Beaufort is a town in the Outer Banks of North Carolina with a population of about 4,600. Established in 1713, it is the fourth oldest town in the state. In 2012, it was ranked as America's coolest small town. We stayed at Beaufort Docks, ideally located centrally. We attended the Saturday Farmers Market and enjoyed exploring the town's waterfront walkway, historic homes, small shops, and restaurants. Other activities nearby include a boat trip to the Cape Lookout Lighthouse, the Rachel Carson Reserve, and Shackelford Banks for shelling and to see the wild horses.